Welcome to Ellen Ruth Soap. I'm Ellen, and today I'm going to make a spring-inspired soap. It's early, it's not spring yet, but I'm just thinking ahead to a little warmer weather. I love when daffodils start popping up out of the ground. Spring is such a beautiful time of year. And the fragrance that I'm going to use today, I'm going to make it go along with a spring fragrance. It is Grapefruit Cocktail from Marouge, Canada. Let me read the scent notes to you here. It has top notes of grapefruit, lime, and blackberry, middle notes of rose, peony, and pineapple, and base notes of ginger and honey. It's really, really good. And so this is what we're going to soap with today. It doesn't have any vanillin, so I'm hoping it's not going to discolor in the soap at all. And because it has base notes of honey, today I'm going to be using some raw honey to make this soap, and honey adds the most luxurious, abundant lather. It is a great lather booster in soap, and honey is wonderful, and it has good label appeal if you're selling your products. Honey is a good ingredient. So we're going to add some honey, and I'll talk about how I'm going to add honey today. Let's talk about the colors we're going to use. So the first one I pulled off my shelf back there, I just look at the fragrance first and think about the soap, and then I go back there and kind of fish around and see. The first one I pulled is Sunday Funday Yellow. This is from Wholesale Supplies Plus. Very pretty light yellow, just a little, I'm going pastel-ish is what I'm doing. So the pink I'm going to use, also from Wholesale Supplies, is Fairy Tale Pink. I'll be adding a little titanium dioxide to lighten this up. Again, thinking pastels. And then for the green, I want to do a little green in there. I have Harlequin Shimmer from Rustic Essentials, and this is beautiful. It does have a little aqua tint to it. It's pretty. I'm going to see how it looks, and I might add a touch of TD in here also to lighten it up. And then for the top, I've done this before, and I love using sugar pearls. These are in the cake decorating aisle. They're made out of sugar. They won't ruin your septic system on your bar of soap. They'll just rinse off and dissolve. But aren't those pretty? Those colors. This is what inspired me. Spring, pastels, that sort of thing. I just love it. So these are going to go down on top in some way, shape, or form. I haven't quite decided what I want to do. If I want to pipe some flowers, or I'm not sure. By the time we get into soap making, I will know what we're going to do on the top, and I'm going to incorporate these somehow on the top. So that is what we've got planned for today, and we're going to do honey in there. And I haven't decided if I want to do goat milk and honey or just the honey. I'm still, oh my goodness, I'm still thinking about some details here, aren't I? I just got inspired by the fragrance and the colors. By the time we come back, I'll have it all pulled together, and we are going to make some early spring inspired honey soap today. And I did want to remind you, if you have not hit that subscribe button yet, please hit it so you don't miss anything going on in the soap studio. All right, we are back, and it's time to add our honey to the water part of our lye solution. And I did want to say I decided to go ahead and do goat milk. I have 4 ounces of goat milk here. I have 6 ounces of water here, so 10 ounces of fluid altogether. And this is going to be milk and oil method. So I'll save this off to the side. And I have my little pinch of Tussa silk because I love it. Totally optional. You don't need to add silk to your lye, but I love how it feels in the soap. And I have it, so I'm going to use it. So that's just off to the side waiting. So again, this is my 6 ounces of water, which we will be adding sodium hydroxide in a minute. But first, let's talk about the honey. I love honey. My daughter puts honey in her coffee, loves it. So I have a little Mennonite country store near where I live, and that's where I get my eggs, and I get raw honey up there from a local distributor. So this is 100% pure raw clover honey, no heat or filter. So this is good, good stuff here. Look at that gorgeous color. So what I'm going to do is dissolve my honey in the water before we add the sodium hydroxide. If you add your sodium hydroxide first, don't add your sugars to this after, because it just won't melt and incorporate all the way. So dissolve it in your water first, then add your lye. And for honey, you can go at a rate of, I've seen big windows of options. So 1 teaspoon per pound of oils to 1 tablespoon per pound of oils. And the batch today is about 3 pounds of oils, thereabouts. So let's get this in here. So this is a baby spoon. This is not a full teaspoon, but you know, honey kind of glumps on there. I'm going to do about 3 of these in here and try and get it all fully dissolved in the water. So, a little bit of messy, you know, that's the nature of honey, isn't it? Sticky goodness. So there's 2, And let's do one more, 3. All right. And okay, here's my pet peeve. I am a little OCD about some things. When my daughter comes over to visit and she makes honey in her coffee, she will put the lid on with all that honey on there. It drives me batty. I have to go wipe the lip of this clean before I put my lid back on. Are you that way too, or am I the only one? I don't think I'm the only one. All right, let me go clean this up and then we will stir our honey to get it melted. Okay, clean lip on the jar. Lid goes on and it never sticks closed. Okay, that's my theory. It makes it opening it the next time nicer. So there it is. That's my idea. I'm sticking to it. And I'm just going to stir this until I can see that it's fully dissolved. There's no more clumpy gloppies in there. Very not precise, but there it is. It's even melting off the spoon. Perfect. That looks perfect. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and throw my little fluff of silk in there, sink it down, and I'm going to go measure my sodium hydroxide and get my gloves on first. All right, we are back. We got our sodium hydroxide. Okay, so I said 10 ounces liquid altogether, which is 286 grams. Here is 5.1 ounces of sodium hydroxide, which is 145 grams, which we're going to add in here. After I get this added together and this starts to cool down, I will throw in some sodium lactate at a rate of 1 teaspoon per pound of oil. So that would be about 3 teaspoons going in here. So, and the other thing is I am not going to cover this and put it on my heating pad like I do most of my soaps because I like gel phase, but honey gets a soap hot. I'm not exactly sure the chemistry. I actually did have somebody commented on a honey soap I made a long time ago, and there's actually a scientific reason why honey gets your soap hotter than sugar, and I can't remember what it is, and I thank the person who commented that. I love it. Sometimes you all are so smart, and I will get a good education by reading the comments. And caution, add very slowly. Honey gets really hot, and this is going to turn a really amazing bright orange color. So that's just the heat reaction with the lye. So add it a little at a time and let it start to heat up slowly. Proceed with caution. Ask me how I know. I have had lye completely like bubble over and it's a hot mess, and just trust me, you don't want to deal with it. All right, we're starting to get a little orangey reaction going on here, all the good stuff. Now, all the lye is dissolved in here. It's this dark sort of magenta color. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but because I'm going for pastels and I was going to add my pre-mixed TD into the colors, here's what I'm going to do. And this is an option if you want pastel colors. This will not stay that color in the soap. It will bounce back to a creamy beige color, but I really want the pastels. So I have my titanium dioxide here. This is the kind I have. It's from Nature's Garden. I bought this on my own. I'm not sponsored by them. Titanium dioxide, and it is a oil and water soluble TD. So that's kind of handy. You can mix it with a little bit of carrier oils, or you can mix it in water. Well, this is water. I'm going to mix my TD in here, and then the whole batch will have that pastel hue overtones, and it'll help counteract any of the darkness from the honey. So let me get my baby spoon. I'm not going to add a ton. And then I will use my stick blender to blend it in there. So this is not an exact science. It's kind of like micas. You can use a teaspoon per pound of oils, but this is probably a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to add it in there, and then I'm going to see how I like it. And I might add another 1/4 teaspoon. We will just, it's one of those play it by ear situations. Definitely want to burp out any air bubbles. You don't want any spray coming up. This is a caustic material. Again, don't be afraid of it, but be respectful. I'm just going to do little bursts because titanium dioxide is notorious for not blending smoothly and you get little speckles in your soap. Kind of like the honey spots, it doesn't affect the soap, but it's aesthetically not what you're going for. And now I'm going to pick this up and make sure I don't have a blop underneath. I don't. And I'm going to add, burp that out, another 1/4 teaspoon of TD, and we'll call it good. One of the nice things about adding the titanium dioxide to your lye solution is this is very hot and it will melt or blend in and dissolve a lot easier in a very warm solution. So it works well in here. There we go. And now I'm going to throw this in an ice bath. And like I said, we'll throw the sodium lactate in there in a little bit. Let's get on to the oil portion. All right, we are back. Here are all of the oils. And the recipe is down in the description box. I've used this recipe several times before, and so I'm not going to go over it, but it's all written down below. And now it's time to add our additives. We're going to go with all the bells and whistles today. So let's start off with our wonderful goat milk. Again, this is 4 ounces of goat milk going in here. And I thought about the design and what I want to do, and I think I'm going to go for a in the pot swirl today. That's what I think I want to do with these beautiful pastel colors. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and do about 1 tablespoon each of my colloidal oats, which I use oat flour. Colloidal oats is a whole grain oat, including the germ, and it is a super fine micro grind on it. Oat flour is a lot cheaper. It is a little more rustic. It will give a little more texture to your soap, but it's a lot cheaper. And I get an Anthony's. I'll leave a link down below. And it is a whole grain oat flour, so the germ is included, all the wonderful skin benefits of oats if you don't have an oat allergy. So that's my pro tip. I love using my oat flour just because of the cost savings. Colloidal oats are fabulous, though. If you've got them, use them. I love them. All right, that's about 1 tablespoon of oats. Come over here and do about 1 tablespoon of my kaolin clay. Let's get this all blended up and get on to the next step. We are back with our lye solution, and because of the titanium dioxide and the honey in here, it actually is a little bit thick. It's about the consistency of half and half instead of water, so that's interesting. And this not so lovely putty color, again, it will bounce back to a lighter color, especially with the TD in there. But let me show you a little pro tip here before we get all into the colors. I have my mold on a tray because when I go to sprinkle the sugar pearls, just trust me, these bounce everywhere. No matter how careful I am, I will find them 10 feet across my studio. So this will help mitigate a little bit of the mess, but if you're using sugar pearls, they can tend to go everywhere. So just a word to the wise. All right, I've got my colors pre-dispersed off to the side here. Pretty. Making me feel like springtime, and I'm loving it. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get all the colors mixed, and then I will pour them back in here for an in the pot swirl. Also, titanium dioxide can speed trace along. This fragrance I know, which is already in here, it behaves well in soap, but TD can accelerate trace just a little. But working with a Lard soap base, I'm not too concerned about that, but it is something to watch out for. When I say a Lard base, Lard and soap slows trace down. So that's nice if you're doing a fancy dancy swirl. You know, you want those things in your corner. I probably wouldn't use TD if I was doing like a wood grain or a super intricate swirl. I would be, cautious of those factors. are back. It's the next day, and I added a little more sugar pearls on top just because the colors had kind of muddied up and I didn't think it was a pretty color. So I just loaded it up with the sugar pearls. And I always like to put extra on because we will lose some in translation as we cut this. They'll pop off. So I'm actually going to be cutting on my tray and unmolding on my tray to try and keep things contained, because indeed I had little sugar pearls flying all over my studio. So it's a little bit messy, but they're so pretty and happy colors. Let's get this out of the mold and see how that in the pot swirl came out. Got the lovely Olga, and she just barely fits on my tray, and I'm very thankful for that. And I'm going to tip this sideways to help prevent drag marks going through the soap. If you have botanicals or sugar pearls or something, if you tip your soap on the side, it won't pull them through the body of the soap, if that makes sense. So that's the plan here. And we're going to take a look at the swirls and talk a little bit about the soap, and then I have a little soapy story to tell that I think you all are going to want to stick around for, and I have some footage. So we will get into that in a moment, but first, you see the little sugar pearls just pinging off of there. They just go ping, ping all over. All right, we made it through. Okay, oh, pretty. And that is indeed pastel colors. Super happy with that. And I don't see any line of discoloration around the outside, so I think this is the colors that we will be left with. Pretty. Now that looks very spring inspired to me. Dare I say Easter, kind of. I wasn't thinking of Easter when I pulled this out, but I'm getting the vibes here. I'll have to send some of this to my grandkids. I think they'll love it. And look at the pretty swirliness. Smells great. It looks pretty in pastel. To me, this evokes a spring vibe, and the honey, the goat milk, oh my word. Lots of goodness going on. I love it. All right, so as I go through these bars here and show you the swirls, I'm going to tell you a little soapy story. After I get done showing you these swirls, I'm going to put some footage in of I want to call it a blooper, but it was pretty serious. What happened to me? Word of caution. So let me start by saying I made a novice soaper mistake. And I wasn't using caution. I have been making soap for so long, sometimes I let my guard down, and you can get a little cavalier with the day-to-day workings of soap making. This footage I'm going to show you was a real sobering wake-up call. Good thing I had my gloves on. I have a nice stainless steel table. I have paper towels and rags off to the side, and I'm glad that I had that preparation for what you're going to see. So I let my guard down. I was telling you how honey heats up. I know honey heats up. I've worked with honey before. I've had lye overflowing on me before, and I still dumped my lye into my honey water so fast it volcanoed. And it was an interesting science experiment. Very interesting to see. I don't recommend it for anybody. And boy, what a mess between the lye and the honey. It was a sticky, hot, caustic mess. And I would love to spare any of you all having that happen. Not fun at all. I tell you what, and incidents like that are kind of a blessing in disguise, because it's going to make me just step back, go a little slower, not be cavalier, make sure I have my safety equipment and have my rags and everything. So I try to see the blessing in it, but I'll show you the footage. It could have potentially been not so great. The other thing I'm really thankful about is when my lye boiled over, it all stayed on the tabletop. It didn't go off the sides. Super thankful for that. And in the name of full disclosure, I almost didn't show this footage. I went back and forth. I'm like, oh, I could just delete it and pretend like it never happened. But I like to keep things real with you guys. I'm not going to pretend like everything is perfect in my soap studio and that every batch of soap goes perfectly for me, because the truth is it doesn't. And so I asked my husband, he goes, no, you need to show that footage. And he's right. So I thank you for joining me today. I hope you love the spring colors in this, and stay tuned for my not so fun blooper. Yeah, it was interesting. I hope you enjoy the footage, and I hope you have a wonderful day. honey gets a soap hot. But let's go ahead and add in the sodium hydroxide here. This is going to heat up quite a bit, and it's going to turn, look at that. Holy cow, you guys. Holy cow. That just happened.